What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fans View Podcast, Episode 7. This week, the intro is going to be a little bit different than the usual ones. I am lucky enough, or unlucky enough, depending on how you want to look at it, to be joined by someone that might know a little bit more than MMA than me. So I'm going to bring him in to talk all things combat sports, be it MMA, PFL, WWE. That man I'm staring at, unfortunately, you guys can't see him, so be thankful. I'm bringing in CarloPerruzza from CarloPerruzzaMMA. Carlo, how you doing, brother?
What up, Jared? We out here trying to talk a little combat. A lot going on here in the past few weeks, as we all know. We've been discussing it a lot. Doing a lot of great interviews that reflect some of the craziness that has been going on the past couple of weeks in the world of UFC, PFL, WWE. Where do you want to get started, my friend?
Well, brother, I know I just prepped you before we started recording and did not mention the PFL, but there is one lady that we need to discuss. I think we're both in love with her. She is dangerous. She's beautiful, and she can kick your ass. And that is one...
Dangerous, Dakota Dacheva. Amazing fighter. Really the PFL golden child. I mean, I think this is the first time we've seen since Kayla Harrison another female emerge from the PFL where it's like, okay, yeah, this is their girl. This is their star of the product. PFL, obviously, so many changes happening with the Bellator merger with PFL, all that Bellator talent now going to that tournament. The shows have been awesome on Friday nights on ESPN Plus. So many big names in those tournaments, and Dakota's really emerged. I mean, but not the fact that she's a wonderful mixed martial artist. I mean, 13-0 now, undefeated fighter. The way in which she is defeating these women is just truly crazy. I mean, it is violent. It is vicious. I mean, she's finishing a lot of them with body shots. The last one, knee to the head. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. She's only 25 years old. She's taking down women 35, 36, 37, who've been doing this for 15 to 20 years. They've been doing it for almost as long as she's been alive. And, she's got a really good competition coming up in the final against Talia Santos. It's going to test her. It's by far her toughest opponent. Some are a little skeptical with her on the ground. Talia's a black belt. Dakota has good takedown defense, but, we'll see what happens if Talia can get her on the ground. You never know if the jiu-jitsu, if it stays standing, right. I mean, that's an absolute war. Some people forget Talia Santos, a lot of people think beat Valentina Shevchenko 2.5 years ago. A lot of people think it was robbery. Valentina won decision, but, including myself, I had it going the other way to Talia. It's going to be a heck of a fight.
Yeah, and when you talk about Dakota, the word that comes to mind is violence. She really is just such a force in that cage. And if you watch any of her content outside of the cage, I mean, she's a beautiful woman. We joke about, being in love with her and things of that ilk. But, all jokes aside, she's obviously a beautiful woman. She's very well spoken. But man, she steps in that cage and she is a monster. So, I mean, I'm looking for big things, in her future. I think the sky is the limit for her.
No, absolutely it is. And I mean, the whole product of PFL, I think, is really starting to blow up as well. It's, for people who've been watching the sport for a long time, 15, 20 years ago, if you talked about another show, not the UFC, you were like, what in the heck is that? Because, I mean, let's face it, 20 years ago, this wasn't legal everywhere. I mean, they could only start going to New York. MMA was only legalized in New York in 2015, and that's only 9 years ago. That's not that long ago. Before then, it was very sparse of where it was legal. So many places had it illegal. I asked guys on my show about what was it like in the early days, and some of them said, well, I lived at a state where you couldn't even legally train it. So we had to go upstairs and turn off the lights and train illegally just for MMA. And the sport's come along such a far way. And now UFC, I wouldn't really say it's direct competition because I think the UFC is so far ahead of any other promotion. I think people are starting to really accept that because it's just the case. But there's other viable options where you go and make good money. I mean, you can go to the PFL, make
Right.
good money. You can go to one and make good money. I mean, hey, you can do bare knuckle. You can go to BKFC and make good money. You can go to Game Bred bare knuckle and make some good money. So it's just the sport's really blown up, and Dakota Tacheva, her success really embodies the sport evolving, because 15, 20 years ago it's kind of unheard of to see a female fighting in a big stage like that wasn't happening 15, 20 years ago. But even male fighters, the training, like Dakota Tacheva's perfect example of someone. Her mom, Lisa Howarth, one of the best kickboxers in the world, she was basically born into combat sports, training her whole life, doing Thai boxing when she's like 18, 17 years old, and now she's had all that skills, all the ring time, and she's an elite fighter. She's one of the best strikers on the planet, and that shows you just how far the sport has evolved.
Agreed. And you're so knowledgeable about it. That's why I was so excited to have you on here. To pivot off the excuse me. To pivot off of that, let's talk a little bit about UFC. They've got some big things going on. They've had some big things going on the past couple weeks. We don't have you for long, so I'm kind of just going to graze over the UFC 304 card. Talk about what really stood out to me. I mean, obviously, I was a fan of him coming into this fight. I think there's a lot of people that are a fan of him now, and that is Paddy the Baddy. I mean, I don't even know. It's gone down as a submission, but if we're being real, he knocked King Green out. You're splitting hairs when you decide how he finished them. But what did you think about that performance from Paddy?
I mean, really what showed me is, he fought a tough dude. King Green's a guy formerly known as Bobby Green, been in the UFC for a very, very long time, has taken out some very tough competition. Green's last victory was over Grant Dawson, who's a great fighter. And, we knew he was going to be tested. And Paddy showed that he has jiu-jitsu. He gets a lot of flack on the ground and everything, but that guy has amazing jiu-jitsu. And, just to watch him go for the positions, put him in mount, and to be able to land that choke to finishes them. And, you're right. The ground and pound definitely helped. But the reason why he was doing the ground pound was to get his into that position where he could grip the choke. And he was landing some hard shots, man. I mean, that guy's no joke. Do not think he's going to be a champion. Do not think he's going to fare well with the top 5 in the division, to be honest with you. But, the guy shows that, he had some talent. That was a big win. You can't take anything away from Paddy Pimblett.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and try to pretend that I'm knowledgeable enough to be able to forecast his future. I'm definitely going to lean to you. But I think if nothing else, with his personality and his skill set, I think Paddy's established that there's a place for him in the UFC.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, let's face it, man. The UFC has evolved, and, back in the day, the fighting did the talking. The fighting allowed for paychecks. Now it's all about the character. It's all about having that personality. Yeah, the fighting's important. You can't be a terrible fighter, but have a personality. But, I'd say, he is a high-level fighter. Obviously, he's in the UFC. He deserves to be there. He is a very high-level fighter. Is he the elite of the elite in the UFC? Probably not. But he's enough to stick around for a very long time. He's a name. He's one of the golden tickets there. He brings in a lot of money, a lot of ticket sales. It's so smart putting him in England. I mean, those people love him out there. I think fans all across the world love him. But you put him in those big sold-out shows, O2 Arena, they could maybe do a Wembley show with them. I mean, so many possibilities.
Yeah. And you talk about having a personality and the ass-kicking ability that goes with it. Boy, that takes us to the next fight. Tom Aspinall knocked Curtis Blades out in the first round. I mean, we knew this was going to be a stand-up and bang kind of fight, but man, did you expect what we saw?
Yeah, I did. Tom Aspinall's on a whole new level, man. I mean, Tom Aspinall is, since Stipe, probably going to be the best UFC champion. Has the path to potentially become the best UFC heavyweight ever. I really think we're early in it. I think Stipe Miocic is currently, Francis Ngannou had some say in that, but I don't think he was there around long enough. But, a lot of people talking John Jones. Obviously, John Jones is the GOAT, greatest ever. 100% agree. We'll never refute that. A lot of people saying oh, he don't want to fight Alex Pereira, blah, blah, blah. But, like, he beats Alex Pereira. He beats Francis Ngannou, in my opinion. He'll beat Stipe Miocic. The one he don't want to fight is Tom Aspinall, because I think that is the only man on this planet who has a chance to beat John Jones. Because of that ground game, Tom's ground game is freaking unbelievable. Alex Pereira, if Jones can just not get knocked out, he takes him down and he finishes that on the mat fairly quickly, in my opinion. Just like what happened with Cyril Gane.
Right.
Tom Aspinall is such a well-rounded heavyweight. It's to the point where I don't know if we've seen another well-rounded heavyweight like that. I mean, and we're talking about so many good ones in the past here. I mean, obviously Daniel Cormier up there, and Stipe Miocic. Aspinall's on a whole new level. Hopefully he can stay healthy. I think that is going to really dictate what goes here in his career. But the kid's a beast, man, and that was a huge win for him.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It was impressive. Not only was it a knockout, but it was an impressive knockout of a fighter that, should not be taken lightly. He's just as dangerous, with that one-shot power. I guess we're going to touch on this main event. Obviously, it's very polarizing. People kind of have poo-pooed at this because it wasn't action-packed. It was... I kind of compare it to a Floyd Mayweather boxing match where it was a lot more defensive than it was an offensive spectacle. Of course, we're talking about Bilal Muhammad beating Leon Edwards in the main event, 5-round decision, obviously. Do you have any quick thoughts about this main event?
The people who are disappointed with this contest are casual fans who don't understand mixed martial arts. Yes, it is fun when someone gets knocked out. It is fun when you see a quick finish. But if you watched what Bilal did to that guy, that was absolutely amazing. I mean, his wrestling, his jiu-jitsu, everything has come along so well. I mean, he's dominating. No one wants to fight the guy. He's not the flashiest in the world, sure, but he grinds it out and gets the job done. He went over to train at American Kickboxing Academy with Javier Mendez, the same coach who trains the likes of Islam Makhachev and Khabib Nurmagomedov, Daniel Cormier, Cain Velasquez, all those guys. I mean, Bilal was already scary, and then you get him training with all the Dagestani guys who have this Dagestani wrestling that is monopolized to the point where they're the only ones who can do it, and no one can defend it because no one else on the planet knows how to do it. Yeah, that's a dangerous combination. We saw it against Leon Edwards. I mean, Rocky Edwards, a very tough guy, and Bilal made easy work of him. I mean, it was crazy.
Right.
I think Bilal was like a +300 or +400 underdog going into that. It didn't make sense to me. Was I 100% convinced Bilal was going to win? No, but did I think he had a really good chance? Yeah. I mean, I didn't bet on the fight. Looking back at it, I probably should have because, that was one of those where it was like, okay, there's a really good chance Bilal wins here. The line's kind of absolutely ridiculous. Obviously Dana not happy about it. But again, where Dana's coming from, he's a promoter, man. Like, he wants knockouts. He wants finishes. Because at the end of the day, the way this goes, man, casual fans, a lot of people watch UFC who don't truly understand it and don't embrace the art that it is. And, they want the knockouts. And if you want to try to make money, you want to make your clientele happy, your consumers happy,
right.
You want to give them what you want.
And I'm glad you talk about the casual fans, which I consider myself to be. Boy, UFC 305 shaping up to be a nice card, even for the casuals, who don't follow the sport week in, week out. We're going to get to the main event because that is going to be a barn burner. Is there another fight on this card when you look at it that you kind of zero in and you say that might be the fight of the night, if not for the main event?
Yeah, 100%. Matu Scamrod and Dan Hooker. There's two who I think would be fight of the night. There's Matu Scamrod, Dan Hooker, two guys that are just action-packed. Dan Hooker's, fought some of the best in the world. Great fighter. If it stays standing, and it's going to be an absolute bloodbath. Gamrot's got great jiu-jitsu and great wrestling, though. I think Gamrot's able to take him down and finish him either submission or some tough ground and pound. Now, the fight that I really think could be your fight of the night here is Kai Kara France and Steve Eckridge. That is going to be a freaking absolute war. 125ers. Absolute war. Steve Eckridge, guy, very entertaining. He just last fought Alexander Pantoja. He wasn't able to get the win, but I think that one could be a lot of fun. And then, obviously you'll bring it up, but that main event is going to be interesting too.
Yeah, and I'm going to put you on the spot. You are my MMA guy. You are my UFC guy. Dricus Duplessis. Hopefully I didn't butcher that too bad. Izzy Adesanya.
Oof.
Who's walking out of that cage with their hand raised?
Man, this is a tough one. If Dricus puts Izzy on the mat, there's an opening for Dricus. There really is. Izzy has really good takedown defense, though. There's an opening for Dricus to have his way. I think what Dricus has to do is get him on the mat, kind of lay on him the whole time, and just throw some vicious ground and pound. If Dricus wins this fight, it's not going to be entertaining. People are going to think this is a boring fight. Dricus is going to have to grind himself out. If it stands on the feet, I mean, Dricus is a big guy. He could knock Izzy out, but the way Izzy moves, his kicks.
Yeah.
Izzy's coming off of a layoff, man. He's hungry. It's been about a year for him since he's even last fought. Coming off of personal stuff, had that DUI incident over in New Zealand. He's back. He wants that belt back. If he can avoid the takedowns, I think the Israel Adesanya that we saw 2 years ago, 3 years ago, is going to, as part of my language, just beat the shit out of Dricus Duplessis. That's where I could see this potentially going.
Yeah, I think it is going to be a banger. Anybody that's even a remotely casual fan needs to buy this pay-per-view because I think top to bottom, this is a hell of a card. Moving off the pay-per-view subject, we have 2 fights coming up in the next 2 weeks. I know mean a lot to you on a personal level. A little bit lesser so mean quite a bit to me because I've gotten to know these 2 gentlemen. The first one is actually 7 days from this past Tuesday. It's going to be August 20th. It's going to be week 2 of the Contender Series. It is going to be a dear friend of the podcast, Torres Finney, going up against Cam Roston in his second shot at a UFC contract. I know you're a very by the book. You're a journalist, whereas I'm just a schmuck with a podcast. But if I can put Carlo Perruzza MMA to the side for a second and just ask Carlo what he thinks is going to happen and what he hopes happens in this fight, where do you stand?
I am going to attempt to answer this as neutral as possible, but I will say I've become very good friends with Torres Finney. Torres Finney, a dude who was emerged as one of the top prospects in mixed martial arts. I mean, the guy's really starting to take off. I mean, he looks like the Incredible Hulk, but a 185-pound version of it. The dude is absolutely jacked. He's huge. He's an 8-0 fighter. I first met him in Savannah, Georgia, one of the first events I've ever covered when I, as my little time here as a journalist, or whatever you want to call me. And right away, you see him, and it's like, there's something different about this guy. The wrestling was so freaking amazing. I mean, he picked up the dude and just absolutely slammed him. Like, okay, who's doing that? And, there's just not many holes in his game. So he fought a really tough guy, Yuri Puranov, in the Contender Series last year. And going into that one, I'll be straight up, I was kind of concerned here a little bit. I mean, I didn't think Torres was going to lose, but I knew it wasn't going to be an easy fight. And, Torres battled some adversity in the first round. I don't think he won the first round of the Contender. Yuri was able to tag him a little bit. And I don't know what happened in between rounds, but, he went crazy wrestling mode. He picked him up. He slammed him. He submitted him. Got a big finish, big victory. After the show, Dana White talking to him. And I think everyone else got a contract besides him on that night and was like, listen, I could give you one. Yes, you're 24 years old. I'm doing you a disservice if I do it. You need to get another fight or 2 and come back. So, he handled it very, very well on TV. I've got to know Torres enough. I knew, and he confirmed this with me, that he was pretty pissed off that whole thing, obviously. At the time, he didn't see what Dana was talking about. So it's the fight after that. Another one that I got to cover. I'm really glad I did. Combat Night in Jacksonville, Florida. Torres, the guy he fought, wouldn't come to my mind right now, but it's a guy who's probably 10, 15 year fighting veteran. And, I knew going in there, he was going to prove something. I knew he wanted a magical moment. And sure enough, he goes in there, he's standing with them, and he gives a crazy knockout, absolutely crazy knockout. Viral, it went viral. His dude was absolutely on the floor, and a lot of the criticism going after the contenders, like, okay, you can wrestle, but you can't strike. Yeah, he definitely proved some people wrong there. It was an amazing finish, and we'll see what happens. He's taking on Cam Roston, a guy who trains at City Kickboxing, trains with Israel Adesanya, and trains with Alexander Volkanovski, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. But Torres is hungry, and I think it's going to be a good match. I really think it is. We're going to see how Cam can handle the wrestling, and Finney is definitely ready to do it. And I think his time is now. And I think more than anything, Finney is really what embodies what a character, good personality. I mean, he's a good dude, but he's awesome on the mic. He's a guy that people are going to really get behind, and I think he's going to be he could potentially be a face in the UFC.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree with more with everything you just said. Obviously, we both had him on the podcast, and he said as such. If anything, I think not getting that contract has made him hungrier. To put you on the spot, my MMA analyst, at, let's say, 10 p.m. Eastern time next Tuesday, is Torres Finney a contracted UFC fighter?
If he executes his game plan and wins, he sure would be.
Oh, you journalist, you. I respect that. I respect that answer. I am not a journalist. I think Mr. Finney is going to knock my friend out that stands across that cage from him. And I do believe he will be working for the UFC. So, moving on from that, here we go. Now I'm really going to test your journalistic integrity. 1 week from Torres Finney's fight, August 27th, week 3 of the Contender Series, we have Adam Brumhold facing off out of Augusta, Georgia, Mr. Malcolm Wellmaker.
Yeah, that's an interesting fight, isn't it?
Yeah, have you ever heard of this Wellmaker kid? I think he's pretty good.
Yeah, Wellmaker's good. 7-0 guy, a guy that I've found to be really, really good friends with. One of the first fighters that I've really connected with. I'm like really a best friend at this point. So watching him fight is terrible. I absolutely hate it. It's one of the worst things in the world. When you start to know these people, and like this is different than baseball and basketball than soccer. I mean, when these guys perform, there's a chance they get hurt, they get knocked out, they lose teeth. I mean, it's a whole world, man. And I never really understood this before I started, get to know some of these guys. Malcolm fought in Savannah, Georgia against Taylor Moore, a guy that used to be on the Contender Series. It was an amazing 5-round fight. I was shaking so bad I had to have someone hold me because I was filming. And it was pretty bad, but he went out there, he got the job done. Malcolm Wellmaker's a guy who deserves this more than anybody. He deserves to be on there. The guy's a freaking pipe fitter. He wakes up at 5 a.m. He goes piping, welding all day on job sites. He gets off around 5. He goes then trains at Fagler's MMA from like 6:30 to 10. Comes back at 10:30 to the house. Got to go to sleep and do it all over again, man. People don't realize on the regional scene, man, you ain't making money. There's a lot of sacrifices to be made, and dude, he's so close. He is so close. The guy he's fighting is very good too. Not going to take anything away from his opponent, Adam Bramhold. I believe 13-2, 12-2, something like that. Got finishes.
Yes, 13-2. Yep.
Fought a lot of talent. Bringing over that area in Europe, and it'll be interesting, man. They're both hungry. They're both hungry to go. I will say though, if it's standing, in which I think this fight might be, good luck striking with Malcolm Wellmaker. That's the only thing I'm going to say. I'm not going to say that Adam couldn't do it. Good luck striking with Malcolm Wellmaker.
I agree. I've had the privilege of getting to know Malcolm here the past couple weeks and months, doing my work with Conflict MMA, who I'd like to shout out right now. A fantastic promotion here in the Carolinas and in Georgia. Malcolm is as good a human being as I've met in this fight game thus far. So I want nothing but the best for him. I have a lot of faith that he's going to get this done because I just don't think that he will be denied. I don't think it's an option for him. Like you said, that's no disrespect to Adam Brumhold. Not at all. Like you said, he's a 13-2 fighter from overseas. A badass in his own right. You know, nobody that gets an invitation to fight in front of Dana White's a slouch. But I just can't see a world where Malcolm Wellmaker doesn't leave this fight with his hand raised. Like I said, I know you're very, you come at this from a very journalistic point of view, which I respect, and I won't ask you for a pick. But what do you think if you had to, and obviously it's oversimplifying it, but if you had to break this down for someone who's like me, who's not, you know, in the game like this, what is a key to this fight? Whereas if this happens, this guy wins. If that makes sense.
Yeah, so there's a couple. I think more than anything, if it stands on the feet and they're going back and forth and they're both engaging, I think Malcolm takes him out with a counter strike. I really do. I think for Bramhold, a way that he'd probably want to approach it is he'd probably want to maybe stand a little back and kind of win on points here, or, you know, just be a little more careful. But, you know, if they're both charging it, they're both standing, they're both exchanging, someone's going to sleep. I mean, it's that simple. It's not going to go more than a round if that's the case. It will not.
Yeah.
But, you know, it is the Contender Series. And, you know, I mean, how old is Adam Bramhold?
He's 30 years, 5 months.
Okay,
so he's
30?
3 months older. Yeah.
I'll be real with you. They're both 30 years old. Dana White on the Contender Series Tuesday night said he ain't looking for 30-year-old contenders. These guys want to get signed. Someone's going to sleep. I think that is how, if it's a boring fight, regardless of who wins, I don't know if that is going to be enough. It could. I don't know. Maybe, you know, but both of them are studs. Like, both of the UFC wants them, obviously. Maybe it's enough. But I think they both know they want it for sure. Because as we learned with Torres, just because you get a finish doesn't mean you're going to get a contract.
Right.
If they want to for sure guarantee themselves in there, putting the other guy to sleep, first round, second round, dominating fashion, they'll get them in there.
I couldn't agree with you more. Thank you so much, Carlo. I appreciate you coming on, brother. Hopefully this is the first of many appearances you're going to have on the Fans View podcast.
Let's do it.
Maybe next time we'll actually talk wrestling like we plan to.
Oh yeah, we did.
But there was just so much in the MMA world that we had to get to. There'll be another time, another day.
We'll see.
Everybody listening, I am going to link it in the description. I really encourage you guys, to check out both Carlo and I's interviews with both Malcolm Wellmaker and Torres Finney. We've both interviewed them recently. I think you guys would really enjoy that. And just when you're done listening to the Fans View, of course, go check out CarloPerruzzaMMA. He's doing a lot of good work. I'm not just putting him over because he's my buddy. I get to see him work his ass off. And I didn't tell him I was going to say this, but I mean, the man is on the grind 24/7. I text him when I get off work every other day and I'm like, hey man, what do you got going on tonight? Doing interviews, brother, doing interviews. So I just want to see his hard work get rewarded with views and listens and clicks and love. And he deserves all the flowers. Carlo, can you tell the people where they can find you? Obviously I'm going to link it in the description, but.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I appreciate the kind words there, Jared. But you can find me on Instagram, CarloPerruzzaMMA. Carlo I think the hashtag thing is Carlo _MMA. Yeah, Carlo _MMA. I should probably know that a little better. And then YouTube, Carlo PerruzzaMMA. Type in whatever you want to pull it up. So, just trying to stay busy, man. That's what I love. This is my hobby. This is my passion. This is what I do for fun, man. I love it. And to me, interviewing fighters, talking to fighters, getting to know them, developing relationships with them, you know, getting to sometimes go to events and cover these guys live. I mean, it's the funnest thing on the planet. And there's nothing else I'd want to ever do.
There's definitely worse ways to spend a Thursday afternoon.
Absolutely.
With that said, thank you, brother. We appreciate you, Carlo. Want to thank our guest. The interview that you're about to listen to we're about to throw it actually to a little bit of a change up. We're going to throw it over to Miss Haley from SlabMania, where we're going to talk nothing about the UFC, but we are going to talk content creation. We are going to talk sports card collecting, and I think you guys will really dig Haley. Me and her bonded over our love of The Office. I think that's going to come through too. So enjoy the episode. I am so excited this week that I am joined by somebody. I've been watching her content for a while now. I am joined by Haley from SlabMania. Haley,
What
how are
is
you
going
doing?
on? Good. How are you doing? I can't thank you enough for giving me the opportunity to be on your show.
Oh, of course, of course. I'm a fan of you. I'm more excited than you even could
I
imagine.
appreciate that.
I'm just gonna jump right into it because I know
Yeah.
you've been busy the past couple weeks. You spent you spent all week at the National. How was that?
Yeah, it was my first national. Not even just that, it was pretty much like my first card show I've ever been to. I've been to like when I was younger, I was at a card show, but it was on accident. It was because my mom took me shopping at the mall and there happened to be sports cards there. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm at a card show. But I went to like a local card shop like a couple weeks right before national, kind of like work my way into going to national. But I mean, nothing could have prepared me for what I
Right.
experienced at national. It was insane. Oh my gosh, I didn't even
I can
know, like,
imagine.
I got a lot of good insight from other people in the hobby about how to go about tackling national or what to expect or the things I'm gonna see, the things, I'll need and stuff like that, but
Right.
even though I had all this incredible advice from people, none of that matched to what walking into that place was like. Everything that all the tips I got just, like, went right out the door. It was just so overwhelming, but in such a good way because it was such a cool experience. It was like there's hundreds of thousands of people coming together because of the love of sports cards and the hobby, and
Right.
it was just amazing. Oh my gosh, yeah.
I was already jealous of you, but you're painting such a picture. I've got to make it out there. I've
Yeah,
never been there. I've never been to anything like that.
yeah,
And you
it's
said you were getting a lot of tips from like fellow people in the hobby and stuff like
yeah.
that. One big name in the hobby that I know you connected with was Jeff Wilson. You had the opportunity to be on the Sports Card Investor podcast. What was that like? He's such a big name
That
in this hobby.
Yeah, that was amazing. So yeah, I was on his the Jeff Wilson show on his podcast and it was such an incredible experience. I went down there for 4th of July weekend because I did their like Instagram takeover. Um and basically was just like their little like content creator for the 4th of July weekend. And that was just like such a fun experience. And then I had the opportunity to be on Jeff's show and that was something I mean, looking back when I first started SlabMania in March, if you were to tell me, "Hey, you're gonna be on the Jeff Wilson show in a couple months," like, I would have never believed anybody that told me that. Um, it was just such an incredible experience and gave me so many new perspectives on the hobby and, about, like, content creation and, my journey and stuff like that, and, what I loved about being on his show was that he was kind of basically just talking to me as just like a fellow creator, like talking to me about how my journey started and, just kind of wanted to get a sense of that. And yeah, I just had so much fun being on there and just like that experience of not only being able to meet Jeff, but like learning how, different avenues to take like my content. Like it was just a very eye-opening experience for me and something that I'm just so grateful for.
Yeah, I mean that the knowledge that that man has in one hand is probably more than you or
Correct.
I will have in the next 10
Right.
years.
Yeah, oh my gosh, he's just filled with knowledge, like, such good knowledge that he has.
And I mean, you got to spend what 3 or 4 more hours with him at a Braves game. How was that? Did
Yeah,
you
that
just
was so
keep
much
picking his
fun.
brain?
So, I'm from Cleveland, obviously love the Indians because we're gonna win the World Series this year, obviously. Um,
Ooh, you said Indians. It's the
and then
Guardians.
oh, yeah, sorry, the Guardians are gonna win the World Series this year,
They're the
and
Indians. It's all good here.
and then we all know the Browns are gonna win the Super Bowl this year, but, that's a different story. But,
My boy Deshaun's gonna lead you there. Don't even worry about it.
um, but so I'm not a big baseball person, I'll be honest, not a big baseball person. I like being at the games and watching it. I have so much fun actually being at the games, but like
Right.
sitting down in front of the TV, I can't get into watching a full game.
Yeah.
But when I got to go to the game with Jeff and his family, that stadium, like just that experience made me want to get into baseball so much more. And it almost made me want to become a Braves fan a little bit because of how cool that stadium was. But then I like remembered where I'm from and I'm like, Haley, check yourself. Like,
yeah,
like,
I've been there a couple times.
but,
I've been there a couple times to see the Red Sox play. It's intoxicating, but you got to remember.
Yes, like
they're the enemy.
Yes. But no,
Then
it was such a cool experience that, you know, I was so grateful that he invited me to go to that game with him and being able to just kind of experience Atlanta, like, you know, from a different perspective. It was just a really fun opportunity that I was able to have.
That is super, super cool. So you talked a little bit about, you know, you're a football kind of girl.
Yeah.
When you started collecting cards, like if we can go way back, can you like remember one of your first like PC cards? Like what was it that like really got you in here?
So I will say, so when I was younger, I was really into basketball collecting. Like basketball was always my number one sport. But as I got older, football quickly jumped right up probably to like that number one spot. So when I was younger, I was collecting a lot of basketball and I remember like I got a blaster box from like Walmart the one day and it was I think it was like Upper Deck. I'm pretty sure it was Upper Deck. I still have the card somewhere, I know that. But I ended up pulling a dual jersey card of it was Jermaine O'Neal and I think Jamal Tinsley for the Pacers at the time. So I was like so excited that I pulled that I started PCing both of those players just because I pulled their jersey card. I don't know why, like I didn't really know much about them. I just thought it was like the coolest looking card and I was like I'm going to collect these players and it didn't really last that long the PC, but like
I think you might be the only person in the world with a Jermaine O'Neal PC. Good
I was
Lord.
like, I don't know why, but I just thought it was so cool to pull their jersey card and I was like I'm attached now and I'm going to PC them.
I love that. I can appreciate that because I love a good obscure name. And wow, Jermaine O'Neal that did it for me. Wow, that took me back. So what are some of your favorite cards you have in your collection now? I know you're gonna say Nick Chubb. So which Nick Chubb is it?
So I just got a card that I've been looking for a couple years. I just got it in the mail the other day, and thanks of people on Instagram, I posted on my story like after National, I was like, hey, you know, I'm trying to complete the Nick Chubb 2018 Rookie Prism Rainbow, and I've been looking for this card forever. Does anybody have any like knowledge about if anybody has this? Have you seen this in circulation or whatever? And within probably 10 minutes, I got a response from somebody saying, I just saw that card at National. Let me link you to the guy who has it. And I could not believe it, like the power of Instagram. Like, and within 10 minutes, cool. I found this card I've been looking for years. And it was the Nick Chubb rookie blue shimmer auto. And it happened to be a PSA 10. The auto was a 9, which I didn't care about. I just cared about having the card. Right. I didn't even care if the card was graded a 1. I just wanted the card so bad.
Had to have it in the collection.
Yes, had to have it. Like my Nick Chubb cards, I don't care what grades they get because I will always keep them. They'll always be my PC. I'll never sell them. So yeah, like I said, if that card was damaged, if that card was ripped in half, I would still want it.
Because a little scotch tape, fix it right up.
Nothing little duct tape can't fix.
Oh man, I'm so jealous because I'm a little broke boy. I can't afford my PC's autographs right now. I kind of need them to suck it up for a couple of years. Mr. Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, okay. You know
Mr.
what?
Trevor Lawrence.
I think he's
so expensive. I know his
market is very high.
Yeah, and I believe he's only going to go up and up, which spells disaster for me.
Yes.
I mean, selfishly, I want him to have a bad year so his prices will fall. I can get in at the ground floor.
Get them all have a good year. Yeah, no, I get it.
Oh yeah. But yeah, so I've basically, like I said, I've reserved myself to being a little broke boy. So I'm just gonna collect every rookie non-auto card.
Right. Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
So that's my thing. I'm like pulling all of his inserts, but my
Yeah.
God, you don't realize, like, I'm sure you've noticed it with Nick Chubb, like, my God, the amount of
Oh,
cards that they
yeah,
produce for these
yeah.
players, like,
So many. Oh my gosh. There's like new
I,
ones every day that people are sending me pictures of, and I'm like, I have never seen that before. Yeah.
yeah,
And I thought with like Nick
yeah,
Chubb basically almost, when his leg pretty much got torn off, I thought his market was gonna drop, and I was like, I feel so bad saying this, but I'm like, yes, like I could get his cards,
yeah.
but for some reason his market
Okay, so me and you are
skyrocketed.
on the same page. Thank God I'm not the only terrible person.
No, yeah, I thought like I'm so happy his leg is okay, but like, dang.
So what are you? I mean, I'll ask you now. I was going to ask you later, but what are you expecting out of your Browns this year? I mean, is it Super Bowl or
So
bust for you?
I will say that I think it's going to be a very, very interesting season with all the trades and moves that happened in the offseason with the entire NFL. So with like the Browns division, all the other three
Ooh,
teams in that division stacked weapons.
yeah.
So I think people saying that the Browns are sitting last in our division right now, I do agree with that because I think like I don't know. I think the Ravens are definitely obviously the Ravens every year are just so consistent and pretty much just blowing everybody out
Yeah.
of the division. The Steelers I'm not really worried about. Like,
No, yeah.
yeah.
They'll
So
Steelers
actually
it up.
yeah, exactly. Like they'll do good. They'll do good enough to make it almost into the playoffs or make it into the playoffs and then but I could say the same thing about the Browns. Like we're a
Yeah.
very stagnant playoff team. We can make it to the playoffs, but we can never make it far enough to have a real chance at the Super Bowl. But I don't know. I get my hopes up every year and then it's a constant cycle of being a Cleveland fan for 29 years and I'm just used to not going to the Super Bowl.
Well, you have a healthy Deshaun to look forward to
That is
this year, so
very true. Very true. Nick has
I'm
his
telling you.
leg back, so
Yeah.
we'll see if he plays.
Is he
Yeah,
going to be starting off the year? I'm
I
not. I haven't
I
been
don't think
paying
so.
attention.
I don't
Yeah.
think he's gonna. So he was full on sprinting and like benching like 500 pounds like a couple weeks ago, but I
Right.
don't think they're gonna clear him to start. I doubt it. I think they're gonna maybe ease him into it. But like
Yeah.
Jerome Forden, like kind of our actually I wouldn't even consider him a backup because we utilized him so much, but our other
Yeah.
running backs, we got weapons too. So,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
if
You're
we
just in a
had to go
bad
a season
spot.
without Nick Chubb, I think we would be okay, but I would love to have Nick
Yeah.
Chubb this season, but we'll see.
Yeah. It really doesn't help that you're in a murderer's row of a division. But I'm a
Oh
Jags
my
fan, so
gosh, yes.
we have to deal with CJ
Okay.
Stroud now and everything else.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
talk about pain. I'm a Jags fan who used to be a Jets fan.
Oh no.
I don't
Well,
like winning.
well, Aaron Rodgers, he'll be back, right? Because he's cleared to come back, right?
Yeah,
I
maybe
think.
we'll get
Yeah.
5 snaps this year. Who knows?
Oh
Maybe
my
we'll get 6. Oh God,
um,
now I'm sad.
yeah, those
So
injuries were crazy.
I'm telling you, last year seemed like it was even worse than
Yeah.
usual. So kind of going back to the card collecting side of things. Card grading right now is like a big topic because obviously, you're probably too young to remember, and really I'm too young to remember the junk wax era. Now people are kind of talking about maybe we're entering into like a junk slab era, with the availability of grading companies,
Right.
the price of it's come down. Where do you stand on that? Do you think we're getting dangerously close to kind of devaluing these things? Being slabs, that is?
Yeah, that's a see, I don't know though, because I feel like PSA, for example, or even like Beckett, probably PSA more, I feel like is always going to hold probably the highest value in the hobby because of how established they are and how many people use them. Like
Right.
anytime like if you had 20 slabs lined up, if one of those was PSA, probably 9 times out of 10 everybody's going to go for that PSA one.
Yep.
Um but like you said with like all these other companies coming out with grading services trying to compete with it, like I don't know, like it could definitely lead to an oversaturation and then possibly, if you have a graded card, maybe, a couple years down the road it won't be as valuable as it used to be because, the demand is the demand is there, but there's also so many different ways to get a card graded, like so many different companies. So it's not a
Right.
shortage of companies or not a shortage of being able to get a card slabbed, but it's just like, I don't know. Like, I really don't know like a good answer for that. Like, definitely a lot of companies starting to come in to compete, but I feel like PSA is always going to be established and people are going to always want to use them. And I feel like because they are so established, the value will hold for them. But, you know, if you try to compete and go to like one of these other, I don't know what you want to call it, like maybe name brand, you know, grading services, you know, I
Right.
don't think your value is going to hold there. And kind of like you said, like, you know, could it be like a slab junk error almost, you know?
Right. Yeah, I asked because actually today I got burned because again, broke boy right here. I really don't have the time, the energy, or the money to invest in sending off
Yeah,
to PSA, waiting for 2 months to get my cards back.
right.
So I ripped a bunch of 2024 tops when it first came out because SGC, was running the $9 special, blah 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 blah. Long story short, I brought like 8 10s, couple 9.5s up to a card shop today. I think I made $100. Anyway, long story short, I brought a handful of 10s, a couple 9.5s, and a 9 maybe. I think I brought like 12 slabs up there, and he gave me
Yeah.
$100. So
Yeah.
I got burnt today. That's what
Yeah.
had it fresh on my mind.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It probably, yeah, I feel like it's a hard question to try to answer because I mean, grading is just so popular and it's like everybody wants to go get their cards graded to, you know, obviously bring value to their cards and get the highest grade possible. And, you know, if you get like a graded 8, obviously it's not going to hold value
right.
much. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. I feel like that's a tough question.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
seems like the way the market is right now, it almost feels like if you do anything less than a 10, I mean,
correct.
you'll be lucky to break even. At 8, you're
Right.
losing money. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And especially if
But
you go with like an off brand company.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
like if I would have pulled an 8 SGC, I could just give that to my 2-year-old daughter to play with because
Yeah.
it's worthless. It would have been better off just trying to sell it raw.
Exactly.
Um, so let's talk happier. Let's talk SlabMania. I know you're on a much bigger platform with Jeff, and you kind of talked about how it started, but could you tell my crowd, how you got going with SlabMania?
Yeah, so well, I guess I'll take it all the way back. Um, Back in 2020 during COVID, at the time I was working at my retail job and all of Ohio shut down, so my job shut down and we were out of work for a while until we were allowed to go back. And I got so bored. Like the first couple days I was like this is great. I don't got to go to work. Like oh my gosh, like I can do whatever I want and then like 2 days went by and I was like, I am so bored. Like, I can't leave my house. I can't go do anything. And so TikTok was like really popular at the time. I mean, it's very popular still to this day, but kind of is when I jumped on the app and kind of started discovering what it was at the time. And I thought it was so stupid. I was like, all I kept seeing on my feed were people dancing. And, it was kind of coming out of a better place because I'm like, people are dancing, probably making millions off of this, and here I am sitting at home getting laid off my retail job, waiting to go back because of COVID. So I was like getting bitter watching all these people, but in a non like negative way. I was just like jealous of them. And so I just like was basically just learning what TikTok was, and then I would get a bunch of random videos coming on my feed and or my For You page, and it was at the time it was really a lot of those organizing videos where people were like cleaning out their refrigerator and doing like ASMR and stuff like that. Like, I don't know why that showed up on my feed and it just kept showing up and up. And I was like, okay, so clearly, if it's showing up on my feed, these are probably very trending videos. And this is what TikTok is pushing out, I guess. So at the time in 2020, I kind of like self-taught myself graphic design a little bit and
Wow.
was just kind of playing around with like Photoshop and, Adobe and everything. And my cousin actually gave me the idea. He was like, hey, like, what if you started a TikTok channel and just like show some of your like graphic designs that you make or just like make a video of you drawing or something? And I was like, okay, that could be kind of cool. And I was like, I got time. Like, I'm laid off my job. So why not? Like, not doing anything else. So I posted a couple videos. I would basically just record myself, doing anything like little like graphic design or whatever.
Right.
And I posted a couple videos, posted my first video, got like 20 views, and I thought, all right, I'm done. Like it tanked, like I'm not going anywhere. And off of that one video, I was like, that's it. I tried and that's it. So then I was like, all right, Haley, stop being dramatic. Like you're not going to get 10 million followers off of you sitting there with like a pen. Like, so then I just kind of like thought to myself, I was like, why don't you just be consistent and just post for 1 week and see what happens? See if you could grow a little following. So I did that. And, I started noticing after each video, I would gain a couple more followers. I'd get a couple more likes on my videos. And, I got to a point where got like 20 followers and I was like, okay. Like consistency it's showing. It's like, the proof is there. And then, I started posting every day for 2 weeks straight and then 3 weeks and then a couple months straight. And I was just growing, like the following was growing. The consistency was working. Like I had more people engaging because I was posting every day and TikTok was recognizing my account as, hey, here's somebody that's active every single day on our app. So why don't we push their videos out a little bit more?
Right.
And so about like, I want to say maybe a month or two in, it was just like, it really wasn't going anywhere. And I thought like, what are people doing on this app that are getting millions of views? Like, what are people posting? And everything on my feed was still those organizing videos and everything like that. So the one day I just decided, I was like, I'm going to do a duet video of one of these viral videos of people cleaning out their fridge to see what happens. And I posted one video that was a duet video, literally me just sitting in my closet, like critiquing this person cleaning out their fridge. And to this day, that video has like 23 million views. So
Wow.
that video is what took off the channel. Yeah. And I almost didn't believe it. Like, I thought I was like being punked. I was like, there's no freaking way that me literally just sitting in my closet in front of my window, duetting this video just like blew up like that. So that video took off my channel. And then like, I realized like, I should ride this wave and switch and stop doing little graphic design videos that weren't getting any attention and now post every single day duet videos. So that's what I did. I rode the wave every single day, 4 times a day. I was posting just duet videos to like ASMR videos, organizing videos, anything that was basically on my For You page that was trending. And it just took my channel off. Like I somehow magically got into the algorithm and it just blew my channel up. And so to this day, that channel, I don't post on there anymore, but that channel has like 1.1 million followers, I think it is, last time I checked. But none of those videos I was posting about like had no passion behind it. It was just me literally sitting in my closet, like just doing a reaction to somebody else's video. Like there's no thought behind it. I would just pop my headphones in really quick, film for 20 seconds, upload it, and boom, that was it.
Living the
So
life.
yeah, I was like, I just couldn't believe it. Like that people literally liked it enough to watch me just critique somebody's video. And like, then, I started like learning about content creation and learning about how to grab the audience's attention, learning different tricks about social media. And basically I just studied my own analytics and just learned. And so, when I got to about like maybe like 200,000 followers, I tried doing videos that I was passionate about. Like I tried like vlogging on there, doing like little mini vlogs. I tried doing like challenge videos and they just weren't hitting. Like I was losing followers because TikTok, I kind of screwed myself in a way with that channel because I got stuck in this niche of being like known for doing duets. So
Right.
anything I would do outside of a duet video, TikTok would not push it out. I would like lose followers. They would like shadow ban me. And
Right.
yeah, like the algorithm would just quickly drop me. So, I just kind of kept at it because I was like, I don't want to give up. Like I grew all these followers already. Like I really want to keep growing. And I tried, like, I kind of stuck it out for, like from 2020 to basically 2024's. For 4 years, I was posting on that channel and grew to over 1 million followers. But it got to a point where I just had to be like, this channel's stagnant. I've tried multiple times to switch, different, I guess like categories of like what my content is.
Right.
And it just got to a point where I had to say, like, you really can't do much more with it. Like, it's stagnant. You're stuck in this niche and, you'll never get out of it. And I just kind of had to lay that channel to rest. I didn't delete it because I still, like little 4-year-old Haley is like so excited we got over 1 million followers. So it's like, I'll keep it for little Haley. But so, when I kind of like laid that channel to rest, I thought to myself, I was like, you love content creation. All you wanted to do since you were little was to be a content creator, to be a YouTuber. And I thought, like, what is it that you can make content about that you are actually passionate about, that you could see yourself waking up every single day doing? And sports just kept coming. Every single time I asked myself that question, it was always sports. Like, no matter what job I have in the future, as long as it has something to do with sports or content creation, I will be so happy. It's a dream job to be able to do that. And, I've loved sports cards since I was 8 years old. So I was like, what if I take content creation and mix it with sports and sports cards and just create a whole new social media for it? And that's what I did. And I took everything I learned from TikTok from the past 4 years of, studying the analytics, how to grab audience's attention, different content creation ways that I learned. And I put it all into SlabMania. I started SlabMania back in March. And since March to July now, it's just kind of taken off, and I'm kind of like mind blown about it that it's only been a couple months. And it's just like mind blowing that people enjoy my content enough to watch it, to like help me grow my channel in a sense. It's crazy.
Well, it's quality content. I mean, you definitely are humble and you're underselling yourself. Like it's fantastic content. I know I
I
love
appreciate
watching it.
that. I
Obviously, I mean,
appreciate
I
that.
love it so much that I had to reach out to you to talk to you today.
That means the
Um,
world to me. Thank you.
because it's so inspiring, especially me. I'm very small, obviously, but it's so inspiring to see somebody just, you had that dream. And like I said, I heard you on the Jeff Wilson show, and that's what really, I think that's what introduced me to SlabMania,
Okay.
and it's just hearing your story. It's just inspiring. Aside from being a content creator, like it's just, you got a dream, chase it. Don't
Yeah.
put the work in. And it's
Right.
proof that you are living proof that if you put the work in, you put the time in, good things happen. Maybe not
Yeah.
overnight, but
Right.
good
No,
things happen.
absolutely. And
Uh,
it's like, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, like, I like one of my biggest things when I start SlabMania, like I just want to leave a trail of inspiration for people. Like it is 100% possible to be a content creator, to be a YouTuber, to do sports cards, like make a living off of that. And like back when I was little, if I told somebody I want to be, a YouTuber, I'd probably get laughed at because it wasn't a thing back then like it is now. And
Right.
like I didn't have any famous relatives. I was like I had no like handouts, nothing. I was a nobody. Like nobody knew who I was. Like even though I had that TikTok channel, in those 4 years that I had that channel compared to the couple months that I did SlabMania, I had so much more opportunity open up to me with SlabMania than I ever did on
Right.
TikTok. So it's like I wasn't known. Like I didn't come from a famous family or anything. I literally was just an average girl working a retail job with a dream. And I decided one day that my dream is more important than giving time to a company that, you know, is just a retail job. So it's like, why can't I go all in on myself if I'm going all in on this retail job? So
Right.
I promise, like anybody listening, it is 100% possible. I did it. I'm continuing to do it. And I just refuse to fail. It's like an all or nothing. So it is absolutely possible. If you have a dream of any of this, you can absolutely do it.
I love that so much, and I just love your story so much. Like it speaks to me at a personal level, and I just know that it speaks to the people that are watching this and that watch your channel, in general. It's just
Yeah,
I can't say enough good things. I
I
don't want to
appreciate
toot your horn too hard, but I could sit here and gush over you for another hour.
that means
Um
the world. Thank you.
What are some of the struggles though that you face, as a content creator, both, the major things and maybe things that people wouldn't even think of, you know? What kind of
Yeah, I
struggles are you facing?
I would say so this kind of might be a different one, but I would say probably like, as a content creator, I think the number one struggle would be kind of being your own like worst enemy in a sense. Like there'll be times where I post a video, but then I get like I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like this video performed so poorly. Like why aren't people watching it? Like why aren't I growing?" And then you have to like bring yourself back and realize like you are not entitled to any followers. You are not entitled to anybody watching your videos. Like you can't control who watches your videos and who doesn't. You're not entitled to anything. So you have to like, I guess in a sense, remember like you're getting worked up for nothing. Like there's no rule book that says, oh, SlabMania, should have 24 million followers. And if they don't, then, something's wrong. Like, no, like you can't get inside your own head. You can't get worked up about if a video doesn't perform well or if, you're not growing as fast as you want to. So it's a constant battle with getting over, I guess, that mindset, if you will, of, just kind of like you said earlier, like it's not going to happen overnight. You have to be very comfortable with knowing it's going to be a long journey, a long process.
Right.
But also with that being said, all it takes is one video to take a channel off, like you never know. Like if there were times like back on TikTok where I debated posting a video, but I just posted it for the heck of it. And probably 8 times out of 10, the videos that I thought would flop ended up being some of my most viral videos. So that's why, like, if you're ever debating posting a video, just post it because you never ever know what will happen. All it takes is one video. But I would say, like, the biggest challenge for me is getting inside my own head about, growing and getting followers. But then, at the end of the day, I could care less about how many followers I have because my main mission with SlabMania is to just inspire people to chase their dreams. That's all I want people to get out of my content. Um, so, just kind of that hurdle of just kind of remembering that and bring myself back down or some of the other struggles, I would say, I don't even want to say that being a woman in the hobby is a struggle because I haven't faced any struggles because of that. I know that there have been some other female creators that um, I heard they had, a couple like struggles, but you know, I don't think, I think people will follow your account and engage with your account because of you, like who you are as a person. And if, you're just authentic and if you're making good content. So I was nervous, I guess, in the beginning to post about like sports cars because it's a very male dominant hobby. But,
Right.
I was afraid to like put myself out there being a female in the hobby, but quickly realized how incredible of a community this is. And I mean, besides like a couple comments that people I don't even know, I have
Assholes are
never
everywhere.
exactly like no matter what you make content about, no matter who you like, there's always
Yeah.
going to be those people.
Right.
But I've honestly received nothing but incredible, warm, welcoming, like interactions from everybody in the hobby. So like I almost like I don't want to sound like greedy by saying like I really haven't had any struggles, but I mean, I would say like my biggest struggle is probably just myself, just my own like mindset sometimes. But
Right.
in terms of content creation, I don't even view like I kind of view my content as a learning process. So I just learn through all my content. Like, yeah, it's a struggle trying to figure out like what can I post that people are going to actually enjoy to watch, but it's also experiment. Like if you think people are going to enjoy this video, put it out there, and if it doesn't perform well,
Right.
try something different, like you'll
Yeah.
find what clicks and what doesn't. But yeah, I guess like I don't know if like I'm just so new, like since I only started at March that maybe I just haven't had time to have like a real big obstacle yet. Because
Yeah.
this I've only been doing this for a couple months, but I'm sure those will come. I'm sure
Yeah.
I mean, it's granted. There's always gonna be no matter what you do in life, you're always gonna have obstacles no matter what.
Right. Exactly. And it's almost like you seem to have that temperament when you started talking about it. I mean, we were just talking about football. It's almost like you got to have that quarterback mentality. If a video pops
Yep.
and you get crazy views, cool, next play. If a
Correct.
video takes a dump on you, cool, next play. Because you're
Yep.
a full-time content creator now. Like, this is your job. Regardless, like, you got to keep, that's your job.
Right.
So,
No,
yeah, I mean,
absolutely, yeah.
I think that's definitely, you've definitely got the right mindset. Obviously, and I'm not giving you any tips, but you definitely seem to have the right mindset. It's just
Yeah.
next play.
Yeah, exactly. That's like the perfect way to describe it, like you did. Yeah.
So, and I meant to ask you earlier about this. Like you say, in my opinion, like your videos are very, like there's some fun, like just fun videos. You have a lot of educational videos where you like try to teach somebody something about the hobby. Do you think that ever gets expanded to where maybe SlabMania becomes a breaker or something like that? Or is that really not your deal?
So I did have a lot of people ask me, like, I guess in a sense, like, what is my end goal with SlabMania? And the
Right.
honest answer is I don't know. I really don't know. Like, all I know is I love content creation. I love sports cards. I love sports. So as long as I'm able to do something that has that combined in it, I'll be so happy. Like, I really don't know what, like, the honest answer is I don't know. I don't know what my end goal for SlabMania is. All I know is I just want to be able to do this as like full-time job, like for the rest of my life. Like, I would love to just wake up, grab my camera, boom, that's my job.
I love that. And I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous. So we're gonna start to bring this thing home, but I'm gonna put you on the spot because, like I said,
Uh-oh.
I know
Okay.
you're a sports fan.
I'm ready.
You're gonna tell me this is gonna be a hard one now.
Okay.
I want your Mount Rushmore
Oh.
of Ohio
Ooh.
team athletes. It can be any sport, football, basketball. I don't know if you're a hockey girl,
Oh, this is gonna be
baseball.
hard.
Just Ohio, not necessarily Ohio athletes, but just ones that play for Ohio teams. And you can't include LeBron because he did play for Cleveland.
Ooh, okay. Definitely, I mean, go-to is LeBron. Like, he won us a
Obviously.
championship. He won us a championship. I'll always love him for that.
Are we a
Nick,
LeBron hater? I do have to ask you that. Are you a LeBron
no,
hater?
I love LeBron. He won Cleveland a championship. I love him. I
Okay.
was
All right. So
I was pissed when he left for Miami and I hated him, but then when he came back, I loved him. He won us a championship and then he left, and I was like, all right, you could go do your thing. You already got us a
he did
ring.
his job before he
Yeah,
left, at
you
least
did
this
what
time,
you
right?
said you were gonna do. Like, okay.
All right. So we
So
got LeBron.
yeah, LeBron. Nick Chubb. I will always love Nick Chubb. He will always be a Cleveland hero for us. But then, like, I'm thinking, like, I want to say Grady Sizemore when he played for the Indians.
I love that
Loved Grady
answer.
Sizemore.
I love a good obscure name.
Trying to think.
I love
Okay,
that so much.
probably Joe Thomas for sure. Joe Thomas from the Browns.
Okay.
How many heads are on Mount Rushmore? I'm trying to think how many.
It's 4.
4. Okay. I was like,
But
wait,
you
I
can
was
have
like,
it.
how many
But you
heads
can
are
have an honorable mention if you have an honorable mention.
okay, so LeBron, Nick Chubb, Grady Sizemore, Joe Thomas.
That is so Ohio of you too to have an
I know.
offensive tackle in there. I love that.
I mean, I think my honorable mention would have to be Jim Brown or like Kenny Lofton from the Indians.
Okay.
I
No
don't
love
know,
for
like,
Manny Ramirez, huh?
I mean,
To
but
be
there's
fair,
also
Manny's a Red Sox.
yeah,
Manny's
there's
always
also
going to be a Red
Jose
Sox.
Ramirez right now, though. He's gonna
Yes,
win us
yeah.
the World Series. No, I'm gonna stick with LeBron, Nick Chubb, Grady Sizemore, and Joe Thomas. I'm gonna stick with that.
This is gonna be beautiful. This is gonna be my viral clip right here of just people arguing in the comments. I love it. So my last question for you, I ask everybody, and I know you're gonna give me a good answer because you've already kind of addressed it. But obviously everyone's gonna have a different viewpoint. But what does success mean to you?
I think so. I look at success in a terms of like a happiness scale, if that makes sense. I don't view success as money, as, materialistic things. For like, I want to say that I'm successful, but what I want that to mean to myself is that I'm happy. Like, I'm happy at what I'm doing in life. I'm happy with where I'm at in life. I'm happy with myself. And I think like for me, that is the greatest success is at the end of the day, I could be laying in my bed and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm happy. Like I love my job. I love the life I've built for myself. And, um, I just like, I'm very fortunate for the way I was raised because I was raised to never, get caught up in the materialistic aspect. Like I've always been taught like money does not buy you happiness. And then I think
Right.
like, I mean, I'd probably be happy sitting in a Lamborghini, but like at
Oh
the end of the
yeah.
day, like who wouldn't be? But I've just been taught, that you can't base your success or your happiness off of money. Like money comes and goes, but your happiness is what is going to be with you forever. So I definitely want to keep success as, I guess, if it makes sense, as being like a scale of happiness is what I want to view it as.
No, that's such a good. I knew you were gonna have a good answer. I just had to tee that one up for you. So like I said, we're wrapping this thing up, but it is the Fans View podcast. So when you're not creating content and you're not salivating over Nick Chubb, what are some things that you're a fan of? Obviously Browns football.
Yeah.
But what are some things like you're a fan of?
Like outside of sports or like outside
Yeah,
of the hobby?
just
Yeah.
outside of your
So,
hobby, just because your hobbies
so
work at this point. So
right, exactly. Yeah. So I that's actually a really good question. So
too busy
I
to know, huh?
was like, what do I do? I love The Office. I probably watch The Office 24/7 when I have time. Are you an Office hater or love it?
Oh no, I love The
Okay.
Office.
Okay, I thought I was about to click off.
My
I
2-year-old literally will ask me and my wife to watch Michael Scott, not The Office. She
that
calls it Michael Scott.
I love that.
It's oh
I
god,
absolutely love The Office. So if I'm
we
not
are
creating
kindred
content,
spirits.
yes. Oh my gosh, like I think we just became best friends at this point. But yeah, like pretty much if I'm not creating content or like doing anything, in the sports card world, you could probably catch me either watching The Office or just like hanging out with my friends, but it's pretty much just watching The Office.
Okay, so all right, I said it was the last question, but I lied because now you brought up The Office. This is gonna be another 45
Let's
minutes.
do it. Let's do it.
Who is the worst character in The Office, and why is it D'Angelo Vickers?
Oh, okay. Okay, wait a minute. Okay. So okay. I love Will Ferrell. Like I love Step Brothers. I love his movies.
Yes,
I
agreed.
did not like him in The Office. I could not get
Terrible,
into it. And like
terrible.
I don't know if it was him I didn't like in The Office or if it was his character I didn't like. Like I thought his
Right.
character was like funny the way they kind of did some things, but I don't know. I just could not get into him being in The Office.
All
I
right, so I'm really gonna throw one at you though. You can get rid of one, okay? These are hated characters I'm throwing at you now. You can
Creed
either
better
get
not
rid.
be in there.
Oh God, no! I love Creed.
I
Who
love
doesn't
Creed.
like
He's so
Creed?
underrated. He's so
Later,
underrated.
skater. Come on. Who
There are
doesn't
so
love
many
Creed?
haters. I love him.
Oh, those are uncultured people because you
Yes,
have to. He
preach.
has that weird sense of humor that you
Yes,
just have to.
I love him.
Yeah, no, I love Creed so much. And I'm gonna ask you your favorite character, but you can
Okay.
get rid of one. You can either get rid of D'Angelo Vickers and that
Okay.
terrible portion of the story, or and I don't even remember his character's name right this second off the top of my head, and I'm embarrassed, but Idris Elba. Which one
Oh,
was worse?
what was his name?
I know he worked for a steel
Oh,
company, and I couldn't.
Charles Minor.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
it.
you know what? Ooh.
That run of episodes makes my skin crawl every time I get to that point because I just rewatch it on a loop.
Oh my gosh, I don't know. Okay. It's just like they're just so two completely different. Like there's not
Yeah.
even a way to compare them. I don't honestly, I think I'm still gonna say D'Angelo.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess to an extent, too, Idris Elba, Charles Minor was brought in to hate. I don't know that
Yeah.
D'Angelo Vickers was really, supposed
Right.
to be as hated
Yeah.
as he was.
Yeah, true.
Okay, so we've talked negative. Well, who's your favorite Office character?
Um, I mean, my go-to is always to say Michael because he's just so funny. But I
Yeah.
gotta say, probably Creed. He is just so underrated as such a funny character, and like his little one-liners and like the most random parts. I love it. Like he is so funny.
Do you have a
Yeah.
favorite episode?
Um, pro- mm, Probably Dinner Party. Even though he's not in it,
Oh,
Creed's
that's a
not
good
in it,
one.
but I'd say Dinner Party. Dinner Party is just so funny.
You couldn't go wrong. You couldn't say a wrong answer. I'm
Correct.
more of
Yeah.
a stress relief guy.
Oh my
I
god.
love.
I think they need to be playing those videos for actual like CPR training. Just
Oh
like
my
that
god.
scene from like The Office.
You would never believe it, but I work at a water company where we do
Okay.
safety meetings like every couple weeks. Well, it was my turn to do safety, and I played that video. No, excuse me, it wasn't that video. I played the video. I did fire safety, so the one
Oh,
where Dwight smokes the cigarette and throws it in the trash can, and
he's like safe.
Angela's throwing her cats up into the ceiling, and ooh,
Oscar's
my
falling through the ceiling.
yeah, my coworkers did not appreciate it the way you do.
Oh my
The way
god.
So that's a close second, but stress relief is definitely
I
my favorite.
I love absolutely love that you did that. That
Oh
is so
god.
funny. Who's your
I'm
favorite
glad
character?
I'm glad oh it's got to be Dwight. It has to be
Okay.
Dwight.
I respect that. Dwight, he's so freaking funny.
It's close though because it's Dwight and it's Kevin right there. Cuz I
Okay,
mean,
that's fair.
just
Yeah.
some of the stuff that comes out of Kevin's mouth on that show is just it's so is there an I don't think there's another show that's as quotable as The Office.
No,
Like it's just
I think like I think the best line I ever heard Kevin say was during the PDA episode when they were in the break room and they were talking about like Michael and Holly and Kevin's like, "Can I finish?
can
Can
I
I finish?"
finish?
I was gonna say. So funny.
I love his delivery too, in such a
It's-
matter of fact way. Can I
oh my
finish? I was gonna say it makes me horny. God, like it's such a bother. God, my God. Now I'm absolutely logging off after this, and my wife is gonna have to
oh
sit through 2 hours of
you
The
know I'm
Office.
doing the same thing.
That oh man, I
Oh
literally
my
I could sit
God.
here and talk about The Office for hours.
Oh,
That and
same. Same.
the best cold open has to be Dwight speeding when Michael cooks his foot and Dwight goes speeding out.
And he
I'm
gets
gonna die. I'm gonna die laughing. I'm gonna die laughing just talking about it because he gets out of the car all woozy and then projectile vomits all over his back windshield.
and he's
Oh
sitting on his
my
computer
god!
typing Dwight, Dwight, Dwight for the file. That is
Yeah.
so
Oh
funny.
my gosh! I don't even remember what episode it is. I just remember that cold open.
Yeah, I think.
That oh
Well, isn't wait? Do you mean like from the isn't that from the injury that episode when he has like the
I
bubble wrap
think it
on his
is.
foot?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it is the entry.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember really anything else from that episode but the cold open.
So funny. Oh my
Oh
gosh.
my gosh. So now that we have lamented The Office, again, I could go another 45 minutes, but
Right?
where can people get your content? Where can people find SlabMania? Where are you most active? Like where can
Yeah.
people reach out to you?
So I definitely I have SlabMania on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, but I am most active every day on Instagram. I need to get better at doing TikTok, but slab_mania on Instagram is where you can find me every day.
All right. Well, with that, I want to say a genuine thank you so much, Haley, for coming on. I
Absolutely.
appreciate you taking the time. It's pretty late and you were a champ, so and we've had to deal with some internet issues on top of that. But I have had a blast. This is probably the most fun interview I've done yet.
I got to say the same. Like, I cannot thank you enough for giving me this opportunity and just for being probably like one of the most down to earth, awesome people I had the honor of meeting. Like, you made this interview so much fun. It wasn't even an interview for me. I loved it.
I try. Hopefully we'll do a part 2. I mean,
Oh, absolutely. I would love to. Yeah.
we'll bring you back. Yeah,
Yeah. I would
absolutely.
absolutely love to.
But for right now, folks, do me a favor. She's great people. She's an Office fan. go check her out. SlabMania. Go like it, subscribe, repost. Just give her all the love. She deserves it. She's a hardworking lady. And we'll catch you guys next time.
If you haven't liked or subscribed, you're going to be joking me.